Nigeria Info 99.3 is what you need to search for on the Super Films. If you're not, if you've not liked our page yet, please do so that you can get that prompt once we are live on Facebook. And if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do as well, so you can get that prompt as well once we are live. Let's start with the Punch. Let's do the Punch. Page 3 of the Punch newspaper. End SARS anniversary. Police occupy Lekki tollgate. Others. Activists set for protests.
Yeah, I mean, so we're set for a day of action today. From the advisory that I got this morning, the assessment risk rating is medium. And this is what it says. It says, while it is not clear what dimension the protest will turn out to, it is assessed that protest actions are likely to interrupt commercial and transportation activity. And that if demonstrations occur, there may be clashes between police and demonstrators. So you'll have to be careful how you do go around today. We plead with all the sides involved, the demonstrators and the police authorities, to please make sure that under no condition is there any loss of life today. Life is very sacrosanct. And the protesters have a point to make. You can't take that away from them. And also the fact that the government itself has not been up and doing in addressing some of these issues. If anything, they've almost gotten worse, but that's a story for another day. I'd also like to appeal to all of us to keep an eye on 2023. Amongst the politicians, the actions has kicked off. Their adverts are all over the state and other parts of the country. Activities have picked up. Do not let them catch us napping. Don't let them catch us napping. So today we are going to have protests. I mean, it's going to happen. But we just hope that they will be peaceful. There's something, though. 2 days ago or thereabout, it was said that the police had said that demonstrations would take place.
Yes.
And now, I don't know whether it was a fake whatever.
Apparently it was.
Apparently it was, and it made the grounds. But the police were slow to respond to that.
Quite slow.
Quite slow. What I expect is the moment it came out, and we even said it on radio, a phone call to all the radio stations and whatever immediately, but that didn't happen. So, but the police say that they would not, street protests remain banned in Lagos, and that they wish they could permit such street protests, but however, intelligence at police disposal has revealed plans by some faceless groups or individuals to stage an anti-NSAS anniversary and protest in the state on the same day, and so on and so forth. So, look, let's see how that goes. But the police have warned against unlawful assembly. It's likely to be nationwide. This demonstration, and it might not be in one particular location. So, you really do have to be careful how you move around. We wish Nigeria the best. Demonstration is part of democracy, and handling it is part of the reasons why we have a government in place. But we wish an appeal. We appeal to the government to be sensitive to these issues that people talk about. Don't think it is dismissed with every riot that has taken place. One day, and I hope that day never comes, if you are not careful, all of us, you might find all of us, both the federal authorities and all of us, go a bridge too far, and it won't all go well for anybody. But I'd like to also plead with the protesters, try to be peaceful, try to put these things under control. Do not let it be hijacked. That is very, very crucial. Don't let it be hijacked, because the one thing we don't want is for us to be demonstrating against the authorities only for us to end up injuring our own people. And I wish Nigeria the best on a day like this.
We're going to move on to page 2 of the Punch newspaper. DHQ seeks nod to crush bandits with Tucano jets, lament U.S. condition.
I don't know. from a bloody civilian point of view, and from my own naive place that I stand. Okay, so you spend so much money, even take a loan to buy Tucano jets. Now you can't deploy them against the people that are terrorizing your own country, because it is claimed. I don't know that you have some conditions with the Americans who sold you the Tucano jets. you can't use it against bandits, but you can use it against terrorists. So why don't you call the bandits terrorists and go ahead and get the job done? I'd like to plead with the Americans to show a bit more sympathy to our plight. After all, in their own country, when they had this kind of challenge, they went outside their shores, picked the man up, killed him, and buried him at sea. So we need a bit more sympathy from Western countries. But you see, for those who know the politics behind all these things, they know that everything is like a draft game. It's like it's not even like a chess game, it's like a draft game. And Africans need to grow up and get, the sense of what is going on. Our leaders should not just do things for their own selfish interest. That's why we need knowledgeable leaders. I'm not saying these ones are not knowledgeable, but I'm just saying, you need knowledgeable leaders who know the intricacies of these things. Why would you spend so much money buying Tucano jets? Now you can't deploy them. But the National Assembly hopefully will find a way around it. Once we can get these bandits labeled as terrorists, if anything at all, then I think we can jolly well go on and get this exercise.
Why do you think they've not been declared terrorists, though? Because I keep asking that question.
Let me put it bluntly. And I hope people will understand. Foreign interest has dabarooed everything we are doing in this country. Now, dabaroo is not an English word.
No, it's not. Please,
it's a Nigerian station. The foreign interests have infiltrated. And it's been, in fact, they've not infiltrated, they've been in existence since independence. And unless you know and acknowledge that you live in a competitive world, and a man who is not from your country cannot love your country more than you, it's like in your own family. An outsider cannot love your children more than you do. Unless we acknowledge that we live in a competitive world and that we are involved in a big draft game. Unfortunately, because of the kind of leaders we have, we are the things that are moved on the chessboard, where we should be the players. Nigeria had a lot of potential in the 70s. But from the moment, I think where the real attention was paid on us was when Abiola was going to lead the whatever for reparation way back then. And I think that got in the way of him being president anyway. But that's a story for another day. That was when he was noted that. And what we did during apartheid, what Obasanjo did when he seized AP, BP assets and so on and so forth. What we did, what even our musicians, Fela and Sonny Okonsus, Sonny Okonsus want to know own the land. It became an anthem. Those who knew Nigeria in the 70s know that this country had a lot of potential. And so, living in a competitive world, having the Soviet Union on one hand, China, and so on and so forth, those who felt concerned felt that there was a need to put these people, put them under some form of control. They couldn't succeed with China. They they knocked out the Soviet Union. But China is gone. India is coming up. Where is Africa? Nowhere. Even South Africa now South Africa is lagging behind in the world.
Despite almost everything.
Almost everything, yes. Yes, and the potentials that they have. We must have this at the back of our mind. Now, this is not to bring down these other countries, but they have recognized they're living in a competitive world. When you watch football, Chelsea and Man U, do you want who would put Lukaku to go and man the goalpost of Man U? Should you give me no monk by ball there?
You try.
Yeah. You try. We must recognize that we live in a competitive world, and all those people that give you so-called aid and this and that, they are your competitors. They are not your friends. They are your competitors and not your friends. We keep missing it. Now we are being colonized again by another superpower. I don't want to mention it. I don't want to cause any stir this morning, but all of you know what I'm talking about. We owe that country so much money now. I hope I don't end up one day and somebody gives me a paper to say you must change your name from Jimi Disu to Jinjun.
That would be so fun. Jinjun.
We need to get a sense of these things. Now, this is not to say that we should make ourselves a pariah state, no. But have this at the back of your mind when you're dealing, with superpowers, as it were. Let's give them the name that they truly deserve. And like I said, I'm not condemning them. They know the game that's going on. You don't. Instead of you to be a player, you have now become a pawn. Heaven help us all.
Nigerian leaders have failed woefully, right, from when it all started till this very moment. Because foundations were laid at some point. Then those people that succeeded, those ones that laid the foundations, refused to build on those foundations. And now we kept moving from one poor state to another poor state to another poor state. And we keep sinking and sinking and sinking.
It's because we are falling victim to the conspiracies around us.
We don't have a mind of our own.
We don't. I'm sorry. I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, to be honest with you. But let's look at it critically. From independence, look at the kind of leadership that we've had. Does that show the potential of our country? Look at it. Just quickly take your, all the way down.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? There's something that's functional. And that's why I am hoping that in 2023, I would love to see a president who can stand tall anywhere in the world, knowledgeable. Look at the president of Rwanda. All things have been said against him, but the truth is development is going on in his country.
Paul Kagame, that's right.
Yeah, development is going on in his country. And when you listen to his interviews, he's very clear-headed.
What a brilliant man.
That is the kind of president. If you have a president like that in Nigeria, a third term would be a walkover for him from somebody like me. Now, I'm not advocating any third term now. I'm just saying out of excitement. I wish, if all I can get in 2023, to be honest with you, is to look at my president, any world forum, or even in Nigeria, look at, and he's delivering a speech extempore in good English. Well crafted, very intelligent. If that is all I can get in the first instance, I'll be more than happy.
I've also heard that Nigeria's problem goes beyond an eloquent, versatile, charismatic leader. That the system itself is rigged against progress.
Oh, it is. Angela Jetumobi was here on Saturday, and we both agreed that you need a president who can run this country hands down. That the support system is just not there.
It's not there.
Yes, it's not there. He's going to have to... And to be fair to General President Obasanjo, to be fair to him, he has his shortcomings like every other human being. But he did have a sense of how to run Nigeria. I must give him that credit. But we can't have him forever.
No, we can't.
He did have a sense. I mean, you could polish it, do all kinds of things, but he did have a sense as to how to run this country hands-on. Because the system, over 20, 25 years, the system has been completely bastardized. This is not the civil service. In as much as I worked as a bloody clerk in the Ministry of Justice in 1975, this is not this current civil service we have is not the civil service that I worked in then. Because even the clerks were, you know what it was like in those, even the messengers that had stand 6. Stand 6 was what you get when you go to primary school.
But people were brilliant, even at
Brilliant! Do you know people, so many people, they worked exclusively for government. They weren't given political appointments. Brilliant people. Foreign affairs, name it. Bolaji Akinyemi was in NIA. NIA at that time was a strong institution. Churning out policies and so on and so forth. Is virtually dead now. And Ministry of Finance, you had people who were brilliant, could hold their own over time.
Let's move on. Let's go to page 5 of the Punch newspaper. Page 5. 61-year-old Ondo pastor denies sleeping with teenager, except pregnancy.
That's the reason. I know this is a diable mystery. It's in the pond, but I had to bring it because some of you after this probably go away for the day. This can happen only in Nigeria. The pastor he denies sleeping with the teenager, but he accepts the pregnancy. Your guess is as good as mine. There's nothing more to the story, really. I think he's been roped in. He has a case to answer, definitely. But I just found it quite amusing, that he would deny sleeping with her and then accept the pregnancy. It's a 16-year-old girl that this 61-year-old former Kenwa Ajayi is claimed, claims, it's being claimed that he impregnated, and that the suspect who claimed to be a pastor was said to have deflowered the victim at his house at Ayede Ogbese town in Akure North. Well, he said that his immediate confession was because the police threatened to lock him up. He says, "I didn't rape her, but when I was threatened by the police that if I failed to confess, I might be sent to a custodial center, that was why I had to dance to their tune." He now says, "I am ready to take care of the girl, including the pregnancy. I even asked them if a DNA test could be done to ascertain if I was the owner of the child. It was 5 days ago that the girl came to me that she was pregnant for me. Why would the girl come to you that she's pregnant for you if something didn't take place?" Do you think?
It defies logic.
It defies logic.
It defies logic.
It defies logic. The man should confess and go, and go and sin no more.
Yeah.
After his prison term.
Yes, that's right.
If he's
That's
guilty.
an underage.
If he's guilty, yes.
Page 12 of the Punch has a story here. APC malls consensus arrangement. Oshibajo, Tinubu to meet.
Aha. Now we are getting a clear sense of where we might be going. Something tells me that Tinubu is really not going to run for presidency. God bless the late Wahab Dusumu, who I was very, very close to. And I asked him one time when he contested for a post that we knew definitely he couldn't win. And he said, in politics, you don't just sit down and, at the time of elections or whatever, you sit down and you don't seem to have any aspiration. Your followers will leave you. So you start from there, you gain two things. You keep your followership, that is one, which you can now use to negotiate at the appropriate time. And this is what I suspect might be happening. There's an Oshibajo presidency in the making. I mean, an Oshibajo candidacy in the making that I'm quite aware of, even though denials are making the rounds, but it's heating up. It's heating up. And it's a pity. For political reasons, he can't come out now, I guess, boldly, because I'm going to repeat what I said. Nigeria needs a Moses to take them out of Egypt. Nigeria needs somebody you could look. I remember the frenzy that took place when MK Abiola was going to run. Everybody saw him as a savior. He kept things exciting, but he kept, also kept it quiet. Everybody says, okay, when he takes power, this is going to happen and that is going to happen. So we do need a Moses. So I'm not too surprised that they're going to meet. It's like big brother and younger brother. Oshibajo, as a politician, was made by Tinubu. You can't run away from that. The man was just a professor, brilliant professor in Unilag. That's the way life works, And he said, because I interviewed him, and he said he was in Abuja and he just got a call and they said, Jimi, where are you? He says, I'm in Abuja. Come. And then they just said to him that, look, we'd like you to be running mate to so and so. And that's how he found himself where he is now. So for both of them to meet is a good development. I hope they will just let Oshibajo run, in all honesty. And I repeat, I don't know whether it's part of it, whether the supporters are aware of this. I repeat that the best thing you can do to this gentleman, for all what he has done politically for a lot of you out there, let him enjoy the rest of his life in peace. I don't think he can go through the rigors of being a president. Should it happen by any error, I don't think you don't push this man too much. Let him enjoy himself. And this has nothing to do. If by his own reckoning he's 69, by 69 going to 70, he should be thinking of having some rest. So, and Oshibajo has been vice president for 8 years, so at least he has some experience, and hopefully he will make a good candidate in the first instance. But please also keep your eyes on Peter Obi. Keep your eyes on Peter Obi. Keep your eyes on Peter Obi. I'm not talking of the Pandora thing now, but just keep your eyes on the rhetoric, what's coming out from him, his moves in recent times. We might be in for a very exciting campaign.
Right, 7:52 is the time. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, let me take a few messages that I've got here on Facebook and YouTube before we go on and take Let's see. Zion says this government was quick to deploy soldiers to the east, raising down buildings and towns. Yet bandits meet with government representatives and sheikhs. The issue is not the U.S., it is the insecurity of the government. I don't know what you're trying to say about the insecurity of the government.
Yes, and honestly, don't let's split hairs too far on issues like this. I'm not making a case for the government, but the issues are not the same. They are not comparable. Now, I don't want to be drawn into this controversy, but let's keep things in perspective. Let's talk about the things. Let us talk about the ones that concern us directly. Okay, so if we're talking of the northern crisis, we face it. If we're talking of the crisis in the east, we face it. But don't let's compare apples with mangoes and get ourselves confused in the process.
Let's go to Vanguard now. Page 31 of the Vanguard has a story here. Mount 2 clash. Lagos State government threatens to suspend NURTW RTEAN from Oshodi Apapa Expressway.
Yeah, when I saw this, I found it quite disgraceful. It means that the government is complicit in what is going on. You can't run a state the way the NURTW and RTEAN run their business. You can't. There's an element of extortion in it, and the government seems to have endorsed it. So it's not a case of warning them. It's a case of putting your foot down and getting the right thing done. If you're a member of NURTW and you're supposed to be making your payments, there must be some other mechanism by which it can be done without disturbing public peace. But this is what you can see. What you can see mainly appears to be an extortion racket. It appears to be, and I'm just being polite here. And for the government to come and say that to threaten to suspend them, if they don't stop the clashes and so on and so forth, I'm amazed. The government should move in and take control. You can't surrender your state or your country to non-participants, to non-government officials. And the truth is that there was a word I wanted to use, but I quickly corrected myself. That's why you had me hesitate. So the government should get in and get the right thing done. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Fashola kind of get it right?
I think so.
We didn't see much of this in his time. He put everybody in his proper place, but I don't know. The APC, they understand the politics they're playing, but they seem to have surrendered our state to these people, and it's a very, very sad development. Extremely sad development. But here it says that the warring parties have signed an MOU and 5 casualties have been recorded and they're counting their losses. But the police and the army, they shunned what was called the stakeholders meeting, and I'm glad they did that. It's to send the message. You can't bring the police and the army into this kind of thing. And please, I'd like to call on the army authorities. There's a development that I see that needs to be checked. The rate at which private individuals have soldiers in their security network in full uniform is becoming embarrassing. If the police do that, they probably will say, okay, it's under they're supposed to protect civilians and so on and so forth. But to get the army involved in this, I would like the chief of army staff to withdraw all military personnel that are running security attached to individuals. All of us know what this means. It's not really for protection. It's to encourage high-handedness. May I get 4 soldiers, and all these hypes, this new generation of rich people. I hope they don't ruin us. If only Mama could see me now. This new rich, I'm rich. I have Mopol. I have this. I have that.
Yeah.
We can't continue to put the country at risk because some people just won't grow up just because they made some money. Like I said, even the police, what should happen is this: can the government please license 1 or 2 security companies and let them provide, whether they wear red suits or black suits, they can do all their movie like whatever it is, but take our uniformed men out of all this. Yeah. It's very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. You see them at parties carrying bags, or spraying. Spraying itself is an offense, but the man spraying, his money is being protected by a man in uniform.
We must go now. We really must go. Today is Diabumi. Who is coming on Diabumi today?
That's my etiquette, whatever, who will also come tomorrow to talk about etiquette.
Fantastic.
Yes, we will have a very nice day, Bumi, for you to cool you down on a day of tension like this.
Jimmy, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lagos. Many thanks to our partners for supporting us on this program, MTN Nigeria. We'll be right back with the news in a moment.
You know that feeling when you keep downloading and streaming interesting videos, but your mind keeps whispering, continue, your pockets go here. But not anymore. When you subscribe to MTN's affordable and reliable monthly data bundles, you will enjoy 10 gigabyte with just 3,000 naira and 20 gigabyte.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.